Welcome everyone to another video. Today I want to show you 5 things I love and 5 things I hate about my Dodge Viper RT10. So the first thing I hate about the Viper is just the amount of heat it's producing. Of course it's a 8-liter V10 engine, 400 horsepower, and as soon as you switch it on, it's creating so much heat, especially around the side pipes. Your foot compartment is right next to the engine, left and right, so that's super hot. The car does have air conditioning since it's a 1994 version, but air conditioning doesn't really help you. First of all, the car doesn't have a roof, so you don't really need air conditioning. And on the other hand, the air conditioning system is just making the engine even hotter. So when I'm driving on normal German country roads, like with 100, 120 kilometers per hour, it's too slow for the Viper. It's just getting hotter and hotter and hotter. And then if you go inside a village, for example, you only drive 50, 60 kilometers per hour, it's getting even hotter. And if you're stopping at a traffic light, it's getting hotter again. So what you need to do in between, just accelerate to a high velocity, put down a higher gear, and then you can cool the car down. But right now, for example, we have 25, 30 degrees Celsius. And it's already pretty hot. I mean, the Viper doesn't have a problem with that. Even when it's hot, it just switches on the front fan, and the fan is pretty powerful. So if we look at the gauge here, you can see this is the water gauge. And if it's at this little tick here between 190 and 250, so at 220 Fahrenheit, then it switches on the front fan, and then it's fine. But it's just amazing the sheer amount of heat this thing is producing. And not really convincing to your girlfriend if she tries to get out. And the sill, which is actually, by the way, super wide. Let's have a look inside here. So you can see how wide this thing is, and this is super hot. The next thing I hate about the Viper is that it doesn't have a real roof. Like we discussed in my earlier videos, the Viper wasn't really produced with a roof, and just before the production they quickly created such a soft top, but the soft top is so big and heavy and not really practical, and it just looks silly. I really like this raw look of the Viper like right now, but you don't have any door handles here. So I'm not really a convertible fan, but I'm a Viper fan, and since I wanted to have the first one, I'm driving a convertible now. But you cannot really lock a Viper, that's the next thing. As you can see, you don't really have door handles here. The way how you open the door is just reaching inside here, open it with the inside door handle. And when the car is sitting somewhere, everyone can reach inside, everyone can open the door. And even if you have these side windows, you can always open the zipper. So the production version had these zippers, and then you just reach inside and open it. Or if you have the glass side window, which my Viper had at first, you have the openings or the door openers in this large air outlets. And also for the bonnet. So you cannot really lock the car, and everyone can just open your bonnet. So you just reach inside here and then reach inside here, and that's how you open the bonnet. So everyone can do it. The next thing I hate about the Viper RT10 is the low inside mirror. So we have to take a look from here to understand the topic. So they have this Targa bar at the top, and at the time, beginning of the 1990s, cars got this third brake light. And you can see this third brake light here. It's also a pretty chunky part, and actually LED technology wasn't really that far at the time, so it's a pretty big part. And to be able to still see something through the rear window, they had to position the inside mirror pretty low. And this is what it looks like inside the Viper. So when you're driving, you can see how low this mirror is hanging, so you barely see the corner. So if you're like taking a tight junction into a street or something, this mirror is always in your way. So sometimes I look above that, but then you can't see the curb. Sometimes I try to look below it, but then you don't really see other things. So that's really annoying. Another point where I would say it's not a pure dislike, it's more like a characteristic thing about the Viper, is the super hard clutch and the hard reverse. So when the gearbox oil is cool, it's really, really hard to put the reverse inside. So reverse is on the front right. So as you can see here on the shifter, front right. And so you have to push the stick out with your arm. And if the gearbox oil is cool, To be honest, I couldn't do it at the beginning just with one arm, so I always had to use two arms for that, especially when the car is cold. And now my right arm is trained because of the Viper, so I can do it now. Also the weather is warmer now, not a problem, but it's something to get used to when you have such a car. The next thing is, people always talk about the hard Porsche clutch, but these are always the people that never drove a Viper before, because the Viper clutch is so hard. It really needs a lot of force from your leg, and it's really good training. So yeah, this car is basically like a fitness studio. Another thing that's a bit weird is that if we open the hood, we can keep it open with two springs. So other cars can't do that. I mean, this used to be the largest hood in the world. I'm not sure if it still is, but this is being held by two large springs. So you can see these large springs that keep the bonnet open. Some other simpler cars just have a stick to keep it open. So let's have a look at how the trunk works here. If you want to open the trunk, however, first of all, you need the key. And although this is glass fiber, this is super heavy. And then this can't stay open. There are no springs or anything. Instead, you have to take the stick from here and hold it like that. So that's a bit weird. Usually at other cars, it's the other way around. And now let's talk about the things I love about the Viper. So first of all, the look. Look at this thing. So even after 30 years, it still looks like it's from a different planet. If you put a 911 next to the Viper, it just looks like a Golf. So the Viper is so impressive with all these round, strong lines and with these super thin front headlights. And there are so many great angles about this car. So just look at how the bonnet looks here. Or, for example, these perfectly integrated side air outlets, the side pipes, this super wide body, so you can see how wide it is in front and how wide it gets at the back again. Just an amazing design. And also if you overtake people, so it's just amazing. My friend was driving the Viper behind me and then overtook me with it. It's just amazing how it looks like if you see this in the rear view mirror. And then once it overtook you and you see these super large 335 rear wheels on a 1994 car, these super wide tail lights, and just an amazing design, actually inside and outside. And I really like cars that are built in a certain way because of technical reasons. And here we have this large tunnel between the passengers, and it's because of the large flywheel and the large truck-like gearbox. So really cool, also very ergonomic actually. So the inside tunnel is so big that you can easily rest your arm on it. So really amazing design, and it doesn't matter from which angle you look at the Viper, it just always looks amazing. Another thing I like about the Viper is actually the seating position. So as maybe many of you have the scale models of this car, and these seats really don't look comfortable, but in reality they're super soft. It's amazing. So it's really nice to sit in here. It's really cozy. You have these wide sills, you have these wide doors, you have a wide tunnel, and a really handy steering wheel in front of you. There's no airbag or anything, no nonsense. So that's really nice, really cozy. So it connects you very well with the car, and actually it's really comfortable. And that's already the next point. So no nonsense. There's no electronics. There's nothing beeping at you. There's no ABS. There's no airbag. There is only basically power steering and wide rear wheels which help you. But you have to do everything else yourself, which is really nice. I enjoy cars like this. And yeah, also my Trabi in the background is similar, but a very different category of car. But yeah, really cool. You're really on your own with this, and actually that was really scary at the beginning. So in the first year I was still scared of the Viper, and the car was more driving with me than I was driving with the car. But after a year, when you really connect with the car, it's amazing. It's the best car ever, because it does whatever you want, whenever you want it. And for example, you also don't have an electronic throttle body, you just have throttle cables, and if you press full throttle, the car gives you full throttle, no matter what. There's nothing in between to save you. So a lot of responsibility, but if you're confident with the car, if you're used to it, it's the best thing ever. And also from a collector's point of view, it's really cool because of that big engine, you have a huge battery. And because there's not much electronics, the battery lives forever. So you don't really have to charge the car very often during the winter. Batteries just survive forever in these cars. And there's also not much electronics that can break. So there are no power windows, there are not even side windows. And there are no ABS sensors, there are not much sensors around the engine. So really easy to maintain old-timer and sports car. And another thing that actually surprised me was how large and usable this trunk is. Because the Viper has the large fuel tank on top of the rear axle, so the trunk doesn't reach far forward, but it reaches very much to the side, as you can see here. So to either side, and you can really put a lot of things in here. There is a spare wheel. If you take the spare wheel out, it's just really big trunk. So very surprising. And I also take this car grocery shopping, and it can really take a lot. So really surprised by that. And another thing, and probably the most important thing about the Viper, is the way how it drives. So the sheer amount of power. You just have power in every situation. You have an 8-liter V10 on a car which weighs like 1,500 kilogram. So it's amazing. You always have more than enough power, and you get used to it very quickly, and it's just amazing. In combination with the nice suspension, so we have a double wishbone suspension at front and rear, it's a really nice driving behavior. People always say the Viper is hard to drive, but actually you just have to be a bit careful and responsible. But if you're getting used to how the car works, it's the best thing ever. So the car, from a suspension point of view, does exactly what I expect it to do. So even if you release the throttle in the corner, you can feel how the rear end is coming around. You can easily catch that again if you don't press the throttle. So, or if you want to drift, you can do it at any time. So it's really amazing. And like I said, first it's a bit scary by the sheer amount of power this car has and how quick it is. But on the other hand, if you get used to it, it's the best thing ever, and I don't want to miss it. And every other car will be boring if you had a Viper before. So let me know if you are interested in more Viper content, and see you at the next video.